Have you ever wondered what the difference between an Alta and an Inspire 2 is? What's up? Mark Lodi here. Today we're going to be showing you guys the difference between an Alta and an Inspire. So I got my Inspire 2 here. I flew it out in the desert with one of my good friends, Chris. His YouTube is Source Films 8K. He is linked down below. Check out some of his work. He was nice enough to bring out his Alta 8 and his brand new RED Monstro. So this was actually the first combination in North America that it was flown. He was the #1 to get the Monstro. So we're going to go through a couple of things. 1, setup time. 2, cost. 3, ease of use. So not just the actual setting it up and taking it off, but everything else like the batteries and traveling with it, yada yada yada. We'll first start out with setup time. The Inspire 2 is pretty quick. You just got to turn it on, it'll lift up, you throw the camera on, and then you throw a memory card in, you sync it with your controller, and you just use your iPad to view, and then you just have your regular controls here. Very simple, very easy. It's one cable, USB in, that's it. The Alta, on the other hand, has a lot longer of a process. You have the actual craft, which comes in a big box. You have the MoVI Pro, which comes in another equally the same size box. I think you got all the camera accessories like the camera, lenses, focus iris, zoom, and all the other peripherals that gets the camera working. Like a Teradeck, which is wireless video transfer, different stands and all this other stuff. You can get that complicated with the Inspire 2, but overall the Inspire 2 is much easier and more simple to set up. I'll estimate that I have my Inspire 2 set up and out of the box and running in maybe 10 minutes or so. All the calibrations and all that. So it's much quicker, much easier. The Alta, on the other hand, you got to set up the craft. The craft takes a little bit. It's pretty simple. It's a lot easier than other ones. It just folds out. You'll see in the video here how we're folding out the legs. Then you attach the MoVI. The MoVI was already pre-set up for another shoot earlier that we were doing, so it took a lot less time. So it was just snapping it on. You got to calibrate it, so you got to find true north, calibrate it to true north, and make sure that that's actually calibrate the craft, and then you got to calibrate the gimbal. So it's a bunch of different steps to do it. The advantages of the Alta over the Inspire 2 is that it's much more professional. You can get an 8K camera up in the air like we did. You can get focus iris zoom, so you can get cine lenses, much higher quality lenses. So it's a different caliber of quality that the Inspire 2 can do. I would say probably for 90% of the things that most people will do, Inspire 2, plenty. Just to note, I'm using the X5S camera, so it's not the nicest one, but it's still pretty damn good. All right. Let's talk about size and ease of travel. So my Inspire 2 comes in a box. Let me go get that box. Okay, so the original box came like this. It is pretty big, but it's not insanely huge. It's not like a MoVI Pro box or an Alta 8 box. This will fit almost everything that you need, generally. I don't use this for almost anything. I only really use it to ship it back to GGI when it broke last week. Yeah, this is the base, just the drone, one controller, basic batteries, props, no storage for anything else. My other box is this big giant thing. This is the Go Professional case box. This is not the take-off box. There's two versions. There's one that can store the takeoff. You take it out of the box, you can have the gimbal on and everything. This one's not it. It's slightly smaller, a little less expensive, but still holds everything. This holds 8 batteries and the drone, iPads, 2 controllers, all that. You can kind of see it more in my unboxing video, link below. So ease of travel, obviously these boxes are not like a MoVI Pro box, but for this kind of quality that you get, it's very easy. So the craft itself is pretty small. I mean, yeah, it's bigger than my head, but comparing it to an Alta, it's much larger, or an Alta is much larger than this. The design of the drone itself is pretty easy. The batteries are integrated. It has its own DJI batteries or smart batteries. They're warranted by DJI. I've had one fail and they'll replace it, no problems asked, or no questions asked. You send it in, they send you a new one, that's it. The Alta 8, on a different hand, uses 350 watt-hour batteries. So if you're familiar with that, You can't bring those on a plane. You can only travel on the ground with them. All these Inspire 2 batteries are 98 watt hours. So you can exactly bring them on a plane, bring any amount of them as you want. Just weight limits is really what the problem is. So if you're traveling internationally and you are a global film crew, you would have to rent those batteries on location, which isn't really a huge problem, but just something to note if you're ever getting interested in getting an Alta. The speed is another thing that I wanted to discuss. This actually is much faster than an Alta 8 could ever be. You have to imagine that the Alta 8 we were flying was above 40 pounds. Overall, I think we actually ended up weighing at around 44. This craft weighs probably under 10 pounds easily. It can go up to 55, 60 miles an hour with a tailwind. The Alta 8, it's a lot heavier of a craft, so you need a lot more room to speed up, a lot more room to slow down. The range is not as good either, so the range on the Alta is a lot worse as well. The Alta range is probably a couple thousand feet on a great day. You're really limited to it. The MoVI controller that we were using was having problems. The Teradeck was glitching out. Even though we're using top of the line everything, it was still having some issues. Small issues, but I've never faced it with the Inspire. The Inspire, I can fly it as far as I can visually see it with while keeping it in visual line of sight. As far out as I can see it, and it'll still hold connection. But we were in the middle of nowhere, so it might change if you're in a city. The speed is something that is definitely different. If you need to chase a car like we were doing, we were playing around with a Mercedes, very fast Mercedes. If you need to chase a car, that's your vehicle. Much faster, a lot more acceleration, a lot more nimble. It doesn't have as much drag to it. It's more snappy, and the controls are a lot more fluid. But actually, the data rate for an Inspire 2 is higher than a RED Monstro shooting 8K. And how does that work? It's just RED and their compression R3D files are fantastic. You really can't beat them. The Cinema DNG, they don't edit very well. They're kind of a pain in the ass to edit. They're slow, they're inefficient, and you can't really change as much as RED. RED, where you can change ISO, you can change so many other variables, that's all in the metadata, which is why RED's so special. It makes sense to shoot a RED on an Alta that way, so that you can have that flexibility in post. And as an industry standard, a lot of people know how to work with it. It's not a pain in the butt to work with. Where Cinema DNGs can be a pain in the butt, especially in Premiere, because Premiere doesn't really like Cinema DNGs. Resolve is quite a bit better. So we're gonna break down the cost. The cost of an Inspire 2 is somewhere between 8 and 10 grand, fully loaded, with the X5S, a couple of memory cards, your secondary controller, and base level stuff. Nothing crazy. I have 8 batteries, so that means 4 flights, which is about the same that Chris had for his Alta 8. The Alta 8 is significantly more expensive. The actual craft is about 20 grand, 25 grand more or less. The MoVI Pro is another 8 grand, and then the camera that we were shooting was 85 grand. So the lenses we were shooting for the Monstro were actually the Zeiss CP3s. We were shooting a 50 millimeter. The price for the 50 millimeter is here. Overall, it was about $200,000, maybe $250,000 that we were flying up in the air, including the Teradeck, the Fizz, the other controllers, the MoVI controller, the ground station stuff. It's very expensive, and it takes a full crew to set it up and manage it. You need at least 3 people to do it, where an Inspire 2 you can actually do it with 1, and then also maybe a VO, a visual observer, as well. So to kind of compare, I've only used the Alta 8 once, and it was a fantastic beast. This is a flying machine, very well engineered, and it just works. It can carry heavy loads like a fully loaded RED weapon, or Dragon, or even a Monstro like we were using. You can strap an RE on it, you can strap an A7S on it, you can do whatever you want. It's very versatile. Where the Inspire, you're locked to a DJI product. You can't put any other thing on it. So it has its pros and cons in there. So overall, I'd give my personal win to the Inspire 2. The Inspire 2 is a much better product in terms of ease of use, the price versus performance, and the quality is good. It's not professional level, it's not movie level, but it's pretty good. It's good for most TV shows. and YouTube use, Instagram use, commercial, most real estate use. It'll do its job, and it'll do it just perfectly fine. The Alta, on the other hand, is a completely different beast, and the footage from it is amazing. You can't battle it. It does have some quirks. It has a little bit more of a learning curve to it, but overall, I would still give the win to the Inspire 2 just for ease of use, travel, price, everything that I said before. Also, special thanks to Chris. His Instagram and YouTube is down below. Source Films 8K, super nice guy, crazy cool story, and give him a follow. He's pretty cool. If you want to see more content like this, hit the thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know in the comments. I'm trying to revitalize this page a little bit more into what I'm currently doing, which is real estate work, commercial work, and otherwise. So I'm finishing up college. I'm graduating in 2 weeks. So once I'm finalized with that, then I can actually spend more time on making videos, or what I actually like to do. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time.